take care of my house. I'm going to make sure there's food in the house. But I'm going to kill that baby today. I'm going to kill Imani today.
Any other suggested changes or improvements, Ms. Moss? All right, then.
Tiffany Moss guilty on all counts for starving her 10-year-old stepdaughter, Imani, to death while taking care to make sure her own children were healthy and happy in the same home. A Gwinnett County jury decided that she was guilty on all counts. Now they are deciding whether she should be sent to death row for the crime. Moss refused to allow attorneys to represent her during the trial. She's barely said a word during the entire thing. We've been following this trial since the very beginning. We wanted to bring in Cobb County Prosecutor Latonia Hines to talk more about the questions we're seeing, most of them centering about the fact that she has been representing herself in a capital murder case. You talked about something today, calling it an extraordinary motion, when Tiffany Moss's standby lawyers asked the judge to essentially force her to take their representation during the penalty phase. Talk more about that.
So it was very creative what they did. They basically said that the Sixth Amendment, which is the right to counsel, they said that that applies during the trial and that applies for the appeal, but it doesn't apply for the death penalty part, because they're saying that the death penalty phase is more about the society. And because that, she couldn't exercise it. It was almost that her right to an attorney had been, her ability to be able to invoke that was over for that part, because it's for society. And they're trying to be very creative so that they could come in there and deal with it. Because to be honest, that's the most important part of a death penalty case, because for the most part in a death penalty case, the facts are so egregious that the person probably is going to be convicted. And if you're representing somebody in a death penalty case, your goal is to save their life. And the way you save their life is, even though they've been convicted, that they're not given the death penalty, or the recommendation's not there.
It was like a last-ditch effort to get her some kind of defense, because until now she has waged no defense. We saw that again. She had no closing argument, and even as the penalty phase started, she has said nothing as well. So now the jurors are deciding if she should get the death penalty, life in prison without parole, or life in prison with parole. You have a father in this case that's already pleaded and is going to go to prison for life with no parole, and the DA made a very strong argument to the jurors, basically trying to tell them, I know this is a hard decision, but you must render a death penalty sentence in this case.
Right, and they had to get inside of the mind. What I think Danny Porter did that was excellent today is he went through those arguments, or those things that they're going to probably be thinking to themselves as to why they shouldn't give her the death penalty. And he's like, don't use the fact that she didn't have representation, she wasn't being ganged up on and doing this. This is a decision that she made, and it was a tactical decision so that you wouldn't do this. And I thought that was excellent that he had to go through that. This has been a very hard case for the prosecution when you have somebody who is not being represented.
Yeah, he talked about the 60 days of starvation, and the whole time the trash can that was brought in for evidence where they found her body was sitting behind them for the jurors to see. Latonia, thank you so much. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we're going to hear directly from the district attorney on why he says Moss's silence may be part of a defense strategy. To follow our coverage of the trial and hear more testimony, you can go to 11alive.com or follow us on Facebook.